This week, all aboard the attack dog of the Navy fleet.
It is fast, it is stealthy, and it is lethal. Did you just see that?
Then at Bath Iron Works in Maine, I lend a hand building the newest destroyers.
Look at that!
Each billion-dollar warship takes 4 years to complete, but the Navy needs them faster.
Wow!
That's why these shipbuilders are attempting their biggest mega move ever. Let's do this.
Oh! I just lost my glasses. They're in the water back there. I just lost my glasses.
My name is Danny Forster. I learned a lot about engineering in architecture school. But after graduation, I thought it was time to get my hands dirty. So I went looking for tough work. Some things you just can't learn from a book. I'm not sure I knew what I was in for.
But I think I'm up for it.
My mission this morning, board one of the deadliest warships on the planet by air.
We're now walking towards a helo that's going to take us 30 miles over the water to land on a moving destroyer, the USS Donald Cook. Have you done this before, by the way? I didn't ask you.
I have, yes.
So as you're walking in, walk straight in.
Straight in.
And you don't want to get too close because it could take your head off. So there's been several incidents.
There's been several incidents where someone's head went off.
Yes.
From the...
Yes.
Very smooth, very smooth.
We're going to take this helicopter, land it right back there. That's not a stable landing pad.
Right now, the ship's cruising over 20 knots. This chopper is so big, there's only about 10 feet of clearance between the tips of its rotors and the ship.
Down, down, and to the right. There we go. Left one.
I cannot believe I'm here. Our location? Top secret. Right in the middle of their war games. Not only will I push this amazing ship to the limit, I'll even help build the latest destroyers. One giant piece at a time. Including a record-breaking mega move. These Arleigh Burke-class destroyers are the most versatile warships in the Navy's arsenal. Armed with sub-hunting torpedoes, a teeth-shattering gun, and up to 96 nuclear-capable cruise missiles. Over 100,000 pounds of destructive force. Before I can catch my breath on the Cook, they need my help with their big 5-inch gun. A cannon that bombards targets 12 miles away.
Right now, I'm going to go and find out how they load it, lock it up, and fire that gun down this hole. I am Danny Forster.
Bill Hewen.
Bill Hewen?
This is where we get our load orders from up top. Right now, they want it loaded.
How do we do it?
Take this powder.
This is gunpowder?
Oh, yes.
How much does this thing weigh here?
30 pounds.
So now I have 30 pounds of gunpowder in my hand?
Yes, you do. Put it right down in here.
Oh, big blue bullets.
Go ahead and grab one.
Oh, yeah, it's fine. This guy got it. It's no problem.
Carry that over to here. Watch your fingers. And up it goes.
It's up there, locked and loaded. Are we done?
No. We've got 3 more to go.
These big steel shells travel at over 2,500 feet per second.
That's not the way out. I'll see you guys later.
With the gun now loaded, the bridge crew is preparing to open fire. And even though this is only an exercise, they're still shooting 6 real rounds.
We're going to be engaging the first 2 rounds to starboard on a contact 8,000 yards. We need surface and air clear from the bridge visually.
Target number Alpha Bravo 10.
I'm that.
4 stories below us in the ship's nerve center, they're going ballistic. Because it's from this heavily armored bunker, these sailors actually pulled the trigger.
Gun target line, Fight 0906, middle grid, ready, 1-8, over, fire out.
Plot, 3 rounds, load and shoot. Fire.
Shot.
Shot.
Flash, rounds clean.
Like, literally, I'm a little bit dizzy right now from the sound of that thing. Now the gun's gonna turn, we're shooting off the port side.
Executive Officer Dennis Velez dared me to stand right next to the gun.
I just get the sneaking suspicion, if that gun hits me, it doesn't do much. This jacket ain't gonna do very much for me. Nope.
I'm bringing my camera for this.
They've already told me I need to wear a flak jacket, eye protection, 2 sets of ear goggles, and there's a good chance I'm gonna shatter my teeth. We're gonna be about 15 feet outside of the you're gonna die circle. Is that about right, Webs?
About right.
Tucked safely behind my cameraman Jason, I'm ready.
Here it comes. Oh my God. Did you just see that? Did you just see what came out of that thing? If you want to learn more about the weapon systems on this destroyer, check out our website.
That gun is intense. But even more extreme, the ship's cruise missiles. Basically unmanned planes loaded with a 1,000-pound explosive.
All right.
And they sit right below this hatch.
I'm standing in a place where people should not be. I'm inside the VLS, the vertical launch system for the destroyer. This is where the Tomahawk missile would be sitting. What happens when you fire a missile? What's going on in here?
The sound is phenomenal. You hear that missile leaving regardless of where you are on the ship. I don't care if you're down in the sonar dome forward, you know ordnance just left the command.
The missile launcher fires, striking targets as small as a single-car garage, hundreds of miles away. That awesome precision actually starts when these systems are installed 700 miles north of here.
I am at Bath Iron Works in Maine, and this is one of the oldest shipbuilding yards in America.
A 60-acre warship assembly plant with 5 destroyers under construction. And this morning, they're installing these 4 missile launching units into that ship. Each packed with some of the ship's most sensitive electronics, especially vulnerable to water.
So there's the possibility of showers this afternoon, so we gotta move really quickly, because once the rain starts coming down, we can't do this lift.
These units are so sensitive, even a little bit of dust is a big problem.
Can I clean this puppy off?
Sure.
And so what's the point of this?
They want their modules as clean as they can be when they go inside the ship.
Yeah!
Good job.
That's pretty clean, huh?
Okay.
Now what? I hate sometimes when like I do a job, the guy's like, good job. Then he takes it and like finishes it because it like obviously wasn't a good job. Oh, here we go.
Time for the 300-ton monster crane.
Right now, we want to keep the piece really low as we come alongside the ship to dodge the wind. But once we get to the forward, then we lift up and come over. Now we're gonna go up the stairs. This VLS system is one of 4 modules on the forward part of the ship. It's also worth mentioning how desperately out of shape I am. Oh my gosh, how many flights of stairs is this? All right, so now I am on the deck of the ship. Wow. Look at this. This is the hole that they gotta drop it into. You can see the 4 slots where they have to put each piece down.
Okay, Davey, I need a little more swing to the left, a couple inches. That's good on your swing.
For the final lockdown, these shipbuilders use an old-school technique, piano wire.
So they have to get this thing correct in the X, the Y, and the Z components. And they're dealing with tolerances of 1/32 of an inch.
1 in 28.
Why are the tolerances so tight on something like this?
Well, I think probably the tightest tolerances are in your missile systems and your ordnance systems because you got to send it somewhere and you want it to go exactly where it's going to go.
That's 1 in 25.
25. I think we're good. 1 down, 3 to go.
You can see how tight the fit is from down here.
Howdy. All right, so here it comes. Oh man, this thing is right on top of me. They're actually just guiding it in by hand right now. Are you in over there? I'm in. So the second VLS module is in. Problem is, they blocked the door. So the only way out is under. This is convenient.
Now, with a storm threatening, these guys need to finish fast.
That guy's driving the crane and moving this VLS system. Unfortunately, go figure out how they do it. I'm going up. Yeah. I'm okay. I'm okay. That was my fourth step of about 700, so I'm off to a great start. Oh man, I just hate this stuff. Oh man. All right, so now we're at the level of the cab. They're actually starting the lift right now, and we're gonna have to climb the side of it. How you doing? I'm Danny.
I'm Dave.
How does the vibrating hula dancer on the console help?
She's there for moral support, I guess.
Wow.
Coming down nice and easy. That's good on your
But it looks like we're getting some dark clouds though right now.
Yeah, I didn't think it was going to rain today, but it looks like it could.
All right, hold that right there, Davey.
We're unhooked from the unit. We're coming up.
We're unhooked. We did it. That's 3 down. Now we're moving into the final and most difficult piece.
Even though they're in a rush, Dave promised me a driving lesson.
Oh man. Okay, we're good. Dave, we're good. We're good. We're good. Dave, we're
One more
good.
click. There you go.
No, Dave, we're good.
Okay,
Here.
you can travel and hoist. This one is your swing, and you boom up and down.
Dave, I cannot believe you're letting me drive this thing.
You got to keep traveling,
Yeah?
keep swinging.
Oh! I kind of feel like throwing up, Dave. Is that normal the first time?
The storm's coming sooner than they thought.
David, where's David?
The deck crew needs to finish the final VLS section now. So Dave's cutting my lesson short.
Hey, Dave.
Yeah.
Thanks, man. Really, I appreciate it. That was nuts.
Good.
Now that Dave kicked me out, I want to see the final lift from the deck. I need to hurry.
All right, Davey, coming down easy.
These guys aren't waiting for anybody, including me.
So the fourth piece is coming in right now, and there's just no flood room on either sides. Are you in there?
Yes.
Looks like you're doing pretty well. I mean, looks like this final piece is going good. You've got all the levels so far.
Yep.
You just made it out. I mean, the clouds are coming in right now.
Typical Maine weather right there. It comes in in an instant.
You just got it. Oh, look at that. So they did it. They beat the weather, right? They got this amazingly sensitive equipment which cannot get wet perfectly in there. Now, they're gonna put a cover on it. I'm heading into the CCS, which is the Central Control Station. This is where they make the engines go. How you doing? I'm Danny.
Got a hot bearing, Port MRG. Bearing 239. 150 local temp.
It's a really intense time to be here. They're simulating engine trouble.
Later, main 2.
And every sailor is graded on how quickly they can shut the engine off. Good thing I'm here to help.
This is a CCS phone check. Can I get a copy over now, Roger?
You don't use Roger very often.
No, we don't use Roger. That's an Army term.
Oh, I'm sorry. What's the Navy term? I'm sorry.
Aye, aye.
Aye, aye?
Yes.
Chief Marsland runs the engine crew. I bet he knows how fast the cook can go.
The speed of the shift is classified.
I'm not going to tell anybody. Seriously, between just in like a... How fast can we go?
We can do 32 plus knots.
32 plus.
Right.
Plus being that number you can't tell me.
Right. We can go faster than that.
So like 30, 35? 30, 36?
I can't say that.
Like 45, you think?
No. 32 plus.
67?
32 plus.
So this is where you control the engines. So where are the actual engines?
We can go down to the next level down. Then that's where the engines are located.
Let's do it. Which way? It is really hot down here.
It's hot and loud. Be careful, it's real hot down here.
All right.
And you got wires.
This is one of 4 gas turbines on the ship, together churning out up to 100,000 horsepower, equal to 150 Mack trucks.
Just to give you some perspective, I'm standing next to a jet engine. I mean, this is the thing on a 747. You see 4 of these things, 2 under each wing. This is it. I'm now gonna crawl under a jet engine.
Head first. There you go. This right here is your combustor section. That's where your air, fuel, and heat mixture is going to happen. Once you have that, you have combustion. So it's going to be a big ball of fire. It's created right here.
That big ball of fire spins turbines, which turn the propeller shaft.
This is the starboard shaft.
And it's huge. How big is this thing?
This thing right here is 268 feet long.
268 feet long?
Right.
This is one of two shafts spinning 16-foot tall propellers, powering the ship to 32 plus knots.
Oh my God. That's like 10 feet high of wake right now.
It is. It's something else, isn't it?
It's safe to say that nothing happens on this ship without Captain Esposito's say-so. And even though he won't tell me their top speed, he's more than happy to go full throttle.
This is full power. This is a tremendously powerful ship and exceptionally maneuverable. As my first commanding officer described it, it's a beast, and it really is.
And this beast is about to get pushed to its limit, attempting one of its most dangerous maneuvers, where this warship, loaded with explosives, drives at high speeds right next to a giant tanker full of fuel.
So this is a gassing up operation
That's
right now.
correct. That's correct.
And what are the challenges in getting fuel from A to B?
Well, the first challenge is you don't want to hit them. Okay, that's one.
Well, how much fuel are we taking, by the way?
I'm taking about 75,000 gallons of fuel.
The guys on the ship call this an unnatural act because you never want to be this close to another ship ever.
The ship is commencing its approach alongside the USNS John Linthal.
Indicate 5-6 RPMs.
Indicate 5-6 RPMs.
Indicate 5-6 RPM by.
The engines are gunning right now.
Our shafts are turned at 56 RPMs a minute to match their speed. That information is critical because once we're alongside, we want to continue to match their speed.
All hands top, all in the starboard.
We are now getting the signal that their Romeo flag is up, which means they're ready for us to come in. So we are going to pull up our Romeo, which says we're going in to get the fuel.
Exactly. We're ready to go. They're ready to go. Let's do this.
Here we go. Romeo is up.
Tied up.
I was never a Boy Scout, so will that do?
That's good.
Now we're pulled alongside the oil tanker. Everyone is really nervous right now. This is the most dangerous part. We got to go down right now. Come on.
The reason this is so risky, a simple law of physics. As the gap narrows, the fluid pressure decreases between the ships. If they get too close, the vacuum-like condition could suck them together. To avoid a collision, these two ships traveling at the same speed must stay at least 150 feet apart.
These guys right there with the gun are about to fire the line. They're blowing them. Oh my God!
They fire two connecting wires between the ships, one for each fuel line.
All right, so we're pulling in the line right now, which will connect the fuel line from them to us. And it's getting increasingly heavy.
With nearly $2 billion worth of Navy ships at stake, the idea here is move as quickly as we can.
Come on! Almost there!
Right in the receiver.
Commence pumping when ready.
Now we start pumping 75,000 gallons of fuel. Enough to drive my car to the moon and back 3 times. It takes an hour, but when night falls, the ship's tank is full. At Bath Iron Works, shipbuilders are no strangers to bold maneuvers. This afternoon, another gigantic lift.
So right now, crane number 15 is getting ready to take this massive piece of equipment, this piece of sonar. They're gonna pick it up and attach it to the front of the ship. Look, it's already moving. Look at it. See, it's sliding already. Look at this. It's sliding. It looks like a huge, oh my God.
The 118-ton sonar dome is located at the very tip of the destroyer to hunt subs.
All we're gonna do is just keep this going north and south coming down the tracks.
Okay, so we're just trying to keep this thing going straight, right?
Exactly.
Not
With
let
the
it
wind
tilt.
blowing against it, it's going to have a tendency to turn, so...
Okay, the wind is blowing hard. You can see, look at it, it's turning to... Oh, am I screwing up right now?
Okay.
Not that he doesn't trust me, but Jeremy's going to take this one himself.
The reason Jeremy is so concerned with keeping it straight is here it's okay, we have some open space. We're about to go into a corridor with 2 buildings, and we have no room.
It's always nice to know I can get a job at a Macy Day float.
And that's going to get installed directly here on the bottom and the frontmost part of the ship. So can you explain a little bit to me about what is inside this thing?
Well, technically, no, I'm not sure.
Now, I know when people like Jeremy who know everything say, technically, I'm not sure, it means it's top secret and stop asking questions.
Exactly.
Yeah,
yes.
I'm slowly getting that just around here.
Even though Jeremy won't budge, I'm gonna crack this code. I hear there's another dome under construction right next door.
So this is really the eyes and the ears of the ship. For underwater.
For underwater.
Yes.
When it's complete, the sonar dome is covered with a rubber seal and pressurized because it sits 30 feet below water.
How far away can you detect a submarine?
We can listen to submarines at quite a distance.
If I'm the sonar bubble, my sound wave hits you, bounces back to me, and I hear it, and the time it takes for me to make that trip tells me how far away you are and how fast you're going?
Exactly. There's some Doppler shift in there, too, that we gain information on to be able to detect what the speed of the submarine is doing as well.
So you can tell the location, perhaps even the size, and even the speed of the bad guy from using the sonar?
Pretty much, yes.
On the Cook, when their sonar finds a submarine, they can destroy it with this.
Is this a torpedo launcher?
This is a torpedo launcher.
This is Kevin Knight. He's been in the Navy for 15 years.
So this shoots torpedoes into the water to go get subs. We have 3 barrels, and right now you have 2 of them loaded?
Yes, I do.
How do we fire this thing?
You'll get an opportunity to do that.
Oh, this is going to be frightening. When I pull this, 1,600 pounds of air is going to get released and fire this torpedo?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so the launcher wasn't really loaded.
And you would see the torpedo hovering right around before it did its initial dive. You say torpedoes away, no apparent casualties. They'll call back, they'll say understood, and then we can keep on conducting business.
And by conducting business, you mean firing more awesome torpedoes?
If needed be.
I think it needs to be, Kevin. I got to fire one more.
Not a problem.
This time, I assure you, I'm not going to jump. You got to watch. I'm not going to jump this time. What is it like to fire a torpedo?
Actually, it's a pride. We're a big family here, and the whole thing is everybody has a part in playing their part in the ship. So if it meant for me to actually have to fire a torpedo to defend the ship as well as my country, then actually I'm doing my job.
Taking care of your family.
That's what I'm doing, sir.
Thank you for letting me fire.
I could see why they wanted me firing blanks. Each torpedo cost up to $3 million. But I can fire a machine gun.
I'm gonna go fire an M60, Rambo's gun. Reps before we begin, give me just a little bit of advice for firing this thing.
Pull the gun in tight next to your shoulder, in the pocket of your shoulder, right here. Yep. Point the gun down a little bit, and you'll see your rounds hit the water. What you're looking for is a nice, tight grouping pattern of your shots. 550 rounds a minute.
I just killed a shark. I didn't kill a shark. There's no, everyone is fine.
I'm going to work in Bath Iron Works, Maine, alongside over 5,000 workers building 5 Navy destroyers, turning huge sheets of steel into giant warships. Welders, ship fitters, crane operators, and of course, the plasma cutters.
This man right here makes those cuts. How you doing?
Not too bad.
I'm Danny.
Nice to meet you.
Oh.
I sometimes have that effect on people.
7'6" and 9'16".
Right now, my task is measure, mark, and cut 3 holes in this ship support beam.
It's like shop class?
According to Pat's specs.
How long have you been doing this, by the way?
24 years last month. This is a torch. You want it down like that when you burn.
Got it.
It's a set of training wheels. Just makes it easier to burn, steadies you. They go on the end of the torch.
Something a little humiliating in having a pair of training wheels on my plasma gun. Visor's coming down. Here we go.
Pull towards you. Beautiful. Good job.
Oh, that's a pretty straight line. That's not bad.
We're going to take the wheels off.
Nice. I've already advanced past the training wheels, huh? Now we're getting into some of the more artful stuff.
This torch quickly slices through steel with a plasma beam over 20,000 degrees.
How'd we do?
Got a little bit left to cut off.
You okay? Are you all right? Well, I knocked it out. Look at that. Now, I gotta admit, it's not looking like the prettiest line I've ever drawn in my life.
Comes with time.
Comes with time, yeah. Get ready for Plasma Newcomer of the Year. Here we go. Look at that! That's a semicircle right there. That right there is 1/4 of a circle. How long will it take you to undo the crap I just did to get this piece ready for installation?
About 45 seconds.
It's good to know I didn't slow the destroyers down too much with my uselessness. We'll see you later.
I'll take that other glove.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks.
My steel beam now travels to the assembly plant. It's here the small pieces come together to start forming the ship.
I'm at the top of the gantry crane, and you can see the entire assembly line in front of me. They literally go from soup to nuts, like a real assembly line. Getting welders and fitters in to add posts, walls, supports, columns. Ultimately, they get to the point where they're putting in the AC and the plumbing pipes.
Because it's a lot easier to weld facing down, these pieces are upside down. And these guys are actually working on the ceilings. But how do you get these massive pieces right side up?
It was bright, sunny, nice, warm sun. Now, it's freezing, nighttime. Wow, it gets cold at night here. My God.
These two cranes must work in perfect tandem to flip this 180-ton hull section called the Whale.
And they called it off earlier because the winds were going 35 miles an hour. And this thing, when picked up, is like a huge sail. So how are we doing now in terms of conditions?
It's not the ultimate that we'd like to have. We'd like to have, of course, 0 wind, but
what do we have?
We're at around 20.
We're at 20 miles per hour.
Yep. So we're going to go for it.
That is crazy. Look at that thing. I'm noticing as it's coming up, there's a little tilt to it right now.
Yep. This crane over here is picking up, and we're dropping down. We're going upside down.
That's all normal, right, Chuck?
We check it before we left it for anything that's loose, but there's always a few things that...
Never get everything.
That's right. You may hear some...
Seriously, this is like straight out of a George Lucas movie. I'm waiting for the Emperor to come out. He's just about vertical. He's it. He's vertical right now. So those two boom heads are now getting closer and closer.
Well, what you're going to do is help these guys with this rope.
I can't believe we're walking next to this thing, which is hanging vertically right now. This thing is hanging in the air right now on one crane. All right, where to? I'm going to walk it this way?
Yeah, walk it right that way.
This is insane. It's floating, and I'm just pulling this thing right now. We turned it around, and now we're going to pick this side up and lay it down on its right side?
That's correct.
Nuts. There it goes. There it goes. Look at this. All this stuff is coming out.
You got to move, folks.
Oh.
This highly choreographed balancing act of steel is almost over.
It's coming down. Coming down. 180 tons. Look at this. It's about to touch down.
When you get to see something like that, you understand why these guys are the best shipbuilders in the world.
You can't put a price on quality. And if you're talking about your kids serving on the ship, it may be the difference between life and death.
The life and death mission of the USS Donald Cook is on every sailor's mind. Because this is more than a deadly warship. It's also a target, a destroyer's greatest threat, an approaching enemy missile.
This weapon that we're about to fire is called the last line of defense.
That's correct.
Why is that?
Well, say something does make it through all of our layers, the last thing we have is the Sea-Whiz mount. Now this thing is its own search and its own track radar system. Well, say someone shot a missile at me and I haven't been able to hit it with anything. A Sea-Whiz mount starts to track it. Not only does it track the inbound missile, but it tracks its own outbound bullets and marries the two up to each other. So if it makes any kind of movement, it's going to track that, track its bullets, and make sure that it continues to stay locked on.
Warship, so guys need to set up and be sure you're on shortly.
Hi, sir.
And where should we be to see the best view, but also die the least, So sort of bouncing those two.
Well, I wouldn't move any further close to the ship. As long as we stay here,
okay,
we're going to be good. 4,500 rounds a minute. Next set of rounds we're going to fire. Oh my God.
Frightening. But what happens if a missile makes it past their defenses?
If we were to take a missile, that missile could penetrate the skin of the ship, going into an engine room, rupture a fuel line, and the heat from it could ignite the ship. And so we're simulating main space fire. The crew is not aware that we're doing this. It can be very hectic.
We're putting on fire retardant gear as fast as possible.
It's like it's madness around here right now. Everyone is just freaking out. Almost on?
Let's go!
Alright. It's gotta be about 100 degrees in this thing.
You guys are going to be moving the hose, okay? Don't get too hot and pass out down there.
They're telling me there's a fire burning in the engine room, right next to over 400,000 gallons of fuel. When we get there, we'll need to pull a long water hose right up next to the blaze to put it out. Turns out that's no easy task, especially wearing 60 pounds of fireproof gear.
What's this vibrating noise mean?
Vibrating noise means you got about 5 minutes left on your oxygen, so you should be getting relief here very shortly.
These guys are still going strong. But because I've been hyperventilating for about 30 minutes, I got nothing.
I got relief. I gotta get out of here.
Take that. Take this off. There you go.
That was exhausting.
How'd I make out down there?
Not bad. Not bad.
Look at me, I'm sweating. I'm red-faced. I'm dying. I'm soaked, and there wasn't a fire. When you're in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, you can't call the fire department. You become the fire department.
That was hot. Maybe a little too hot for me. At Bath Iron Works, there's someone who likes it really hot. The blacksmith. Because to build one of the most high-tech warships on the planet, some parts need to be custom made.
How you doing?
Hi.
I'm Danny.
I'm Steve.
Steve, nice to meet you.
Meet you, Danny.
You're the resident blacksmith there?
I am the resident blacksmith.
Today, we're making a wire mount used to clasp and support some of the ship's 250 miles of cable. This oven cooks at over 1,200 degrees.
Set the other one right on top, off to the side.
Hot enough to soften this 1-inch thick steel plate so we can reshape it.
In the oven. It's amazing that as these ships become more and more high-tech with crazy sonar, it still starts with a blacksmith.
I have to hand make every piece I do. So every piece is an original.
How are we doing in the oven?
A little bit longer. They're almost ready.
It's so hot.
Quit your whining.
After 10 minutes of cooking, I'm going to take this red-hot steel and bend it with 32 tons of pressure.
Yep. Put it right in.
This way?
Yep.
Oh!
Take it out and set it on the cooling rack.
In a few hours, these pieces will cool down and be ship-shape.
Okay, here she comes. That's really heavy, by the way.
No, it's not.
Apparently it's not heavy.
The craftsmanship here is amazing. Every tiny detail accounted for. But these huge warships are made up of 21 massive pieces. The biggest ever? The Mega Unit. 1,400 tons and 157 feet long. Built and outfitted entirely indoors.
The challenge is getting it from here outside. I'm Danny.
All right, Josh.
Josh?
How you doing?
Josh is going to show me a crucial step in moving this Mega Unit.
How high are we going up?
Oh, we're gonna go pretty high here. You like heights?
It's not my favorite thing. Wow. You can really see the bottom of the ship like this. I mean...
Oh, yeah.
Josh, what are you doing, man?
Hold on, hang on, hang on.
Josh, you just ran me into the ship.
They did get me for reckless driving on one once, so.
Our job right now, make sure the hull is strong enough to support its own weight.
So in order to get this mega unit outside, they're basically attaching a column, if you will, or a support to this location.
Yeah, there's 4 of them.
There's 4 of them. So what you're doing is checking to see if this location is strong enough, has the integrity to hold the whole weight?
Yes.
So what is this thing called here?
This is called an ultrasonic testing device.
All right.
Josh gives me a quick lesson on how to use it.
I got my device there. Get it over to this jelly onto the transducer like that. Now we're going to check for some steel. We got 5.1, 5.2. Is that all right?
Yeah, that's good.
So that's some good steel. That's very thick right there.
Yeah.
Is this the same stuff they put on a pregnant woman's belly during an ultrasound?
Yes, exactly the same stuff they use.
Are you actually legally allowed to deliver a child?
Yeah, I don't know about that.
So basically, I'm like the doctor now, putting the device on a pregnant woman's belly to look for a healthy child, except I'm checking for the health of the steel.
Exactly. Yeah.
You ever, when no one's looking, measure other things or no?
Yeah.
No?
Well, 7-1. She's good.
You're confident it's going to hold?
They will hold. Yeah.
Now, can you get me down from here, please?
Yes, I can do that.
Later, workers attached 4 columns. Now this behemoth's almost ready to roll.
And if the guys succeed on getting that thing out on those rails, they will have broken the record for moving the largest and heaviest piece of a destroyer ever.
There are 338 crew members on the Donald Cook. I'm back at Bath Iron Works to see if these guys can set the shipyard record for moving the largest destroyer section ever, the Mega Unit.
What about the weather? Because I know this morning it was like brutal rain. The wind was out of control.
Yeah, it's still pretty cloudy, but I feel pretty confident Mother Nature's going to be on our side.
So she's holding out long enough, you're going to go for it?
Yeah, going for it.
Tim, up crow's nest there. All kinds of clearance. Okay, so we're going to have to go very easy. Okay, let's travel.
It's incredibly tight fit. There is no room for error on top. And there go the wheels of the trolleys.
Each one of these 16 trolleys can carry over 275 tons.
The Mega Unit is now coming outside of the hangar for the first time. Max speed.
Got it.
We're going max speed right now?
Yep.
We cleared the threshold of the hangar, switched to max speed, we're now going 6 feet a minute. It's hard to get a sense of how quickly it's moving, but if you come to the side, you can really see this thing just busting out of the building. Look at this. 20 minutes ago, the Mega Unit was standing right here. Now, it's halfway out the door. How you making out?
Good.
Yeah?
Everything's going well. You got another, what, 60 feet to go? So.
60 feet to go.
Yeah.
It takes almost 2 hours, but today's job is done.
Largest move in Bath Iron Works history. Completed.
That's correct.
Safely.
Yes.
Congratulations, man. That's really awesome.
Thank you.
Tomorrow they'll attach it to the rest of the ship. And in a few years, this will be the Navy's newest destroyer.
If you want to learn more about floating gigantic vessels from the land into the sea, check out our website.
Are you going to be there? You going to be checking it out? Oh, yeah. Kate's going to be checking it out. Yeah. I'm going to check it out. So should you. It's a big day for building destroyers, huh?
Yep, absolutely.
Back on the USS Donald Cook, their sea trials are over. It's time to bring this battle-ready beast into port.
I'm getting geared up because I'm going on what's called a rigid hull inflatable boat. They're used in cases of man overboard and when they're bringing the ship into port. Let's go on.
You have permission to load and launch Bulldog 1.
Hey, you've got permission to load and launch!
The boat's about 15, 20 feet above us right now. We're in the water. This is ridiculous. We're in an inflatable raft. We're in the middle of the ocean right now, and this thing is moving. Oh, watch the big waves. We're out escorting the ship back into port. The weather's really bad. The water is bouncy.
This ship is enormous. And from this angle, I can really see it.
Oh! I just lost my glasses. Oh!
Checking code 351.
Launch head full in K-20 knots.
The crew has one final challenge for me. They're gonna let me take the wheel.
Request permission to take the helm, speed 15 knots. All right, we'll leave the helm. Seaman Garcia, I'm here to relieve you from your post.
You able to relieve me, all right?
Right standard rudder, steady in course 340. 340?
Right standard rudder, steady in course 340.
Now we're turning the ship right now.
Turning the ship.
All engine head, full indicate 20 knots. We gotta do 20 knots? We'll push them all the way up?
All the way up.
And now we're accelerating to 20 knots?
We're accelerating to 20 knots.
What's it like turning this thing hard when you're going full speed?
You don't want to be around. You don't want to be around.
This is insane.
You got on your hands billions of dollars on your hands right now, and you're controlling it.
This amazing warship is completely under my control. 8,000 tons, 4 jet engines, guns, missiles, torpedoes. What a ride.
Don't forget you're driving, sir.
Oh boy.
Oh, yeah, you go.
Not bad, we're off course. 3.5.
There you go.
I literally cannot believe you're letting me steer your ship right now.